turning now. I try to explain this to him. I've listened to you for the first half of my life. I'm young, I'm fresher. You listen to me. I'll tell you.
Do you know what? Like, I want to go a little bit deeper into this, Alfie, because I've got a good relationship with my father, and
Mm-hmm.
he's got his property portfolio. I've got my property portfolio. If I'm talking about property or on something I'm looking at or buying, his ears goes up, he lights up,
Mm-hmm.
he's ready to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But it was even like on Father's Day, I take him out for a meal and just want to just have a normal, like, you right, Dad? Yeah, good. It's just be like short, sharp. My mum, different character,
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sean, what's happening? This, that, other. Oh, that looks nice. Dad is just very old school. If it's about business, we'll talk. A couple of little things, but I don't really have that sort of relationship where
Mm-hmm.
my dad, like, sometimes we would go to the pub together or in a friend circle, he'll switch it up. He'll change it. Like, that's my boy. Yeah, we're cool. When it's just me and him alone, it's like silent in that room. And it can be a bit like knife edge sometimes. And it's just like, why can't we just like be a bit friendly and just friends and just chill out, man? Like, I'm a lot older now. You're
Mm-hmm.
getting older. Like,
Yeah.
why can't we just switch off? Like,
That's right.
do you ever feel like that?
Yeah. Do you know what? You've explained it extremely good. Me and my dad, there's as much as I just said that I loved him, there's no lovey-dovey relationship. Everything's very straight and blunt, straight to the point. No messing around, you know what I'm saying? And from what you've just
Mhm.
said, that's pretty much the same as your dad. There's no joking and fooling around.
Yeah.
It's serious. You want to talk serious, we talk. If you want to joke, and it's very minimal if you want to have a laugh and a joke. Do you know what I mean? Like, after the laugh finishes, straight back to business.
Can you hug your dad?
Yeah. We do, but it's very rarely. Usually when there's been some sort of achievement or accomplishment, down to business.
Mm-hmm. So, I want to talk to overall of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Loads of things happen. You come through dead ends, challenges,
Mm-hmm,
etc.
mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first house?
Where I lived or
Your
what I bought.
first, yeah, your first ever memory of the first place you
Mm-hmm.
lived.
I was in a caravan.
Okay, so all right, cool. So you're walking. So I want to take you back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I suppose it's in some sort of park. Is
Mm-mm.
it? Where was the caravan?
Attached to the back of a truck or
Okay, you're walking down. You know what everything's looking like. You can see the same trees, same cars, same environment, and you're walking. And as you're walking, you come to the caravan. Yeah. So as you come to this caravan, um, I don't know if it's got a lock or not, but if it has, you reach in your pocket and you take the key, and you know exactly what color it is.
mm-hmm.
And you take this key and you put it in the lock, and you turn it. And as you turn the handle, you hear that same familiar click that
Mm-hmm.
you always
Mm-hmm.
heard. You go in, and you're seeing this caravan that you used to live in, and you know exactly what it looks like, but same familiar smell,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was. And as you're walking around, it's all empty. No one's there. No one's
Mm-hmm.
there at all. And as you're walking around, you go to the place where you used to
Mm-hmm.
play. And as you're going to that area, all of a sudden, in the corner of your eye, you see a little boy,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just playing. And as you get closer, he looks up at you, and you look up at him,
Mm-hmm.
and then you realize this boy is you.
Mm-hmm.
You see this smiley little boy who's really happy playing, and he looks back at you. What are you going to tell this young boy who's you?
Well, I'd say just keep going as you're going, son. You done all right in the end. That's what I'd say.
Is there any challenges that you've been through that you just think that shouldn't have happened?
Yeah, there's been a few, but the thing is, like I say, would I want to turn back the clock or change them? No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have the experience that I have now. Experience can't be bought, it can't be taught.
Mm-hmm.
You can try and teach someone from somebody's mistakes, but you don't get the same feel. You don't feel it the same when When you give you an example, when you go and buy a Rolex watch, right, and you wake up tomorrow morning, you've done your research online, and you've seen that this watch that you're just about to give £10,000 for is making £14,000 online. You've had the deal of the decade. Yeah? You rush and go and buy this watch. You'd ask the man, how do you want paying? I want a bank transfer. No problem. I'll send you a bank transfer right now. You take that watch. After you've got it, you realise it's 3 links short. Don't have a box, and it's got not a real, not an official Rolex glass in the middle. Now your watch is worth £8,000. You just give £10,000 for it, and you thought it was giving 14,000. You thought you was going to come back, and worst case, get £13,000, which would be £3,000 profit. Yeah, me telling you that stories, like, do you know what I mean? That's like, do you know what I mean? But you feeling that and doing that would make you think twice before you think to yourself, oh, actually, do you know what? Let me make sure that it's got a right glass, mate. Let me check it's got all the links. Now, without me going and making those mistakes, I would never have known. And the way I look at it again, and Islam has helped me with this, I look at that like it could have been more. Like, yeah, we take the lesson. It could have been more, because I've made a lot of mistakes and I've lost a lot of money in business. But again, I've managed to come back, bounce back, start other businesses, and make them work. Most things that I've done have been very successful.
More about in terms of traveling. Have you traveled a lot?
Yeah, I've been most places.
What does traveling teach you?
Just different cultures. Like, for me, I'm always looking out for entrepreneurs and people that are doing very well in life and people that like business. And it's nice to see how people do business all over the world, which I've seen.
Nice. So if there's someone watching this podcast who things might not be, going that well right now, maybe they say, I haven't been dealt the best cards, but they're going, the same thing keeps happening. I can't come out of this. What advice are you giving that person?
Right. I would give the advice of, first of all, being dealt, we can all get dealt a bad hand, right? We can all get dealt a bad hand. However, depends what situation they're in, depends which situation they want to pull themselves out of, and depends if they've got the willpower, the dedication, the persistence to pull themselves out. If you have willpower, dedication, and persistence, you can make anything work. You can make a success of anything. If you've got the will, the desire, the fire in your belly. And my advice would be, go and set out and go and do what you want to do. Listen, keep within the goalposts and be realistic on what you want to do. But it can be done. It can be achieved. If there's human beings out there that done it before, even if they haven't, who's to say you're not to be the first?
And the thing is, like, these are characteristics, and some people just like might be a little bit weaker minded. Is there something they can do to try strengthen their mental strength of going, I can be more resilient, I can be more persistent? Is there, like, a sport that you've done, or a course that you've done, that they can go and look to go and do these steps before they make that other big jump? Because there's a whole society who's not doing it. I can say it, you can say it, and they're going, yeah, tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. And then it's 40, 45, and then they look back and regret and go, I should have done that. I just didn't have the confidence. But there's obviously a character trait that they haven't picked up on that have allowed them to do that. It's like when you go boxing and you get punched in the face, you got to know, if I get in that bloody ring and I don't move, my head's going to be taken off. So you learn how to move and you learn how to survive very quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? So is there something that's taught you, like, I mean, you've got not saying the best start, but you've got a billionaire environment around you. You've got abundance around you. Your dad's got invoices around you. You've seen his office. You've seen him doing business deals. You get to come and shadow him. What's that person doing if they haven't got all of that? Where can they put themselves?
Well, they get themselves employed by a billionaire at the same place. Listen, I'm not saying that. A lot of people think, they want to wake up tomorrow and everything be fixed. No, you do have to work from the ground up. Whether that means you have to. I used to unblock drains, and I would still set up a company, and I would do it to this day. If I had a property that I couldn't get somebody out to unblock a drain, I would go there and do it, and I know how to do it.
Why?
Because I had a drainage company. And that's what we thought the business was to be in at the time, because my dad, again, following in my dad's footsteps, my dad had a drainage company in Raynham. As a matter of fact, it's still going to this day, owned by his business partner's or ex-business partner's wife. called Southern Drains Limited, and I have a company, or had a company called Blockbuster Drains. I tried it, and I didn't. It wasn't the most. I wasn't the most successful at it, and it was a very hard job.
Mhm. Talk to me a little